you painting in this painting?
Who am I painting? I'm thinking about like an aunt of mine. I like to make characters that are like in my own like kind of world. So she reminds me of like an aunt.
Uh-huh. And are you somebody who does a lot of street art all over?
I try to. I do a lot of gallery work too. So right now it's kind of a balance of both and going back and forth between the things that I like. So I kind of just do like a mix of stuff.
What's your name?
My name is Rixie.
Rixie. And where are you from?
Here, I was born here, but I moved around a lot. But I just came back recently for school. So I've been here for a little bit, but we'll see where I go after.
How long have you been doing street art?
I would say just a few years, honestly, not that long. Like less than 5, honestly. Before that, I always drew cartoons, so I draw a lot of cartoons when I was younger. And that was like my favorite way of kind of doing art. And then I started painting a lot more, but street art, not as much as like drawing, for sure.
What got you to even try street art? What got you into the scene?
I've been around graffiti culture a lot. Like I knew a lot about it. I knew people. I would like have a marker and do it, but it wasn't really much. So I just like the idea of kind of being public, and especially with the art that I liked, I just wanted to do like outdoor public art. Like I loved public art, public sculptures. And how could I do that in the same way that I love cartoons and like this animation? So street art was like a really cool kind of blend of it. So I was able to commit a lot more once I understood that combination.
What do you think is important about public art?
I think it's something to express, to like have multiple people be able to see and have art like intertwine with our reality and like our space. Like I find it so interesting when something new is interacting and it's something from the imaginable, like a mural, you know, like you could really play around with that. But also public art in general, it's just like I just kind of like how it adds to our reality. It just seems like a whole other imagination on top of what we already have. So.
And you think in people's everyday lives that's something that they need?
We all need a little more creativity. I wish everybody would watch cartoons more. I watch cartoons all the time. But it doesn't do anything to you other than remind you of like kind of basic human morals, you know?
Well, that's a pretty big thing. That's a pretty big deal right now.
And people forget about it. So it's like, actually, you should be watching cartoons. Teach you a lesson.
What's it like to be a woman in the street art world?
Weird.
It's weird?
Definitely, yeah. Because it's like it's going to be heavily male dominated. So you're trying to not only create an identity for your art, but then for yourself, and you're fighting for that way more than what the men are. Like, it's actually a problem to think about it, you know, to think about, oh no, I have to like make sure what I am as a person also is being accepted, not only just the art that I'm making. So it's like now you have those two kind of like battles going on in the world, and you can be uncomfortable also, depending on like how the male gaze goes. Especially as a woman, like I like to draw nude women and sensual and sexual women. Like I always found it funny that like I played a lot of video games and none of them were a Dominican girl, you know, or some other like Latin culture for me. Well, they do now in the new Street Fighters, they have a Brazilian girl. But having that representation was kind of important. And then the battle of like the male gaze from there. So I don't know, it's weird to think about that. It's like you're not only battling an art, but the idea and the concept and the subject itself. So like how you're doing all of that together.
What is it like then to be Dominican? I'm assuming you're Dominican.
I'm Dominican and Honduran, so I'm mixed cultures. It's I don't know. I feel like I'm connected to that part of my culture, but not so much. And to my other, I feel like I don't know enough. So, and it's very Americanized by now. But I am a lot more connected to my Honduran family, and them being a lot. We have a lot of Afro-Latinos in that community. So then again, you come down to more and more like issues within the cultures itself and within like other communities of like colorism. So it's a never-ending kind of conversation of like, okay, what is this? What is the word for it? But what is this thing doing for you in your life, and how does that like represent what you're making or what you're doing? You know, it's like all of these things. Not like, at least for me, like I like to do art as like a comfort away from like whatever silly stuff, especially with cartoons. I get to like be funny or like have humor with it, so it's like a lot more of my humor, but still being able to deal with all the dumb stuff that happens.
Where else could I see your work? Where else?
I have Instagram. I have Facebook also. They're both under Rixie. It's Rixy. Fernandez usually, but Rixie is good. And I have a couple of other public pieces. I have a few smaller ones in Dudley, and in some like local businesses and things like that, and more so with traveling. Really
What do you see? So, how do you see the future of street art and what you want to do in street
I
art?
hope it doesn't get commercial. I hope capitalism doesn't take over. Which, you know, we'll see how that goes in a few years. Check back later. But I hope it continues to stay on like loud public messaging and like loud public expression regardless, you know? Like there's a thing about doing it with intent. And I think that's how it always was. Like traditionally, murals are just made for if you have a loud amount of space. A building is taller than us. If you have that whole thing, like what are you saying? And like who are you? And kind of things like that. So that piece kind of has an identity too. So I hope it gets like
last question. You said you're from here, right?
Boston.
A Boston area. What do you think? Why is this important for Salem? These street art, the fiesta coming on Sunday, and all the street art around this area.
Of course. I think it's also important just to think about what communities feel in terms of their segregation, especially if we have like immigrants in our certain areas. There's a thing about art and that expression that makes you feel more comfortable to also do that with yourself and to feel more involved. I think it's important to have these moments around communities where they're gonna also understand our like need for this kind of freedom of expression and freedom of place and stuff like that. Like it's very much a community that has individualistic people and unique people, so it's having that art that kind of resembles them and represents them too.